They still haven't plowed my street. They plowed it once and it's packed down ice now. We got an all-wheel drive Subaru, so we don't have much problem with it. Neighbor's got a rear-wheel drive Ranger. It's still sitting there. I was reading some conversations on the Discord, which is basically people use less and less for a voice platform and more for a bulletin board. Why don't you just use bulletin boards? Why don't we just bring back the BBS? It's what people are using. Especially, I mean, if you do play by post and don't need voice, I think it'd be perfect. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. And people rediscover things that as old hats already knew. Don't worry, there'll be some weird dish or burger or float or something this year that the Zoomers will be like, wow, why didn't anybody ever think about this? I mean, your great-grandparents did or your grandparents did, but okay. I just made my grandkids malted milkshakes the other day, and they were like, this is the best thing ever. Why'd we stop making milkshakes like this? Good question. But I was reading these conversations about our treasured hobby, our beloved game, and people making their own game and blah, blah, blah. It seems like someone's dissatisfied with everything. And you'll always have that. And you have some people who were just, I'm rules light. And in the same game, that person will go, well, the rules say. Is it just the rules I'm in the mood for? Is that what it is, everybody? I want it crunchy this phase of my life. I want it rules light. I don't want any rules. I just don't want anybody to tell me what the fuck to do. Kind of shit, you know. I just kind of chuckle. We switched over to Dragon Slayer, and my old school Essentials game has come to an end abruptly after a long pause. The long pause was winter and the holidays. And coming to end abruptly, I just asked everybody if they would prefer to play Dragon Slayer, as I saw what was coming in my next couple sessions. Everybody agreed, because they kind of knew it too, and we're like, yes, let's end on a high note for most of us. Okay, inviting back a player who hasn't played with us in a while. Who used to be a handful. We'll see if he's doing better. But for one person, I think this entire group could meet in person if he really wanted to. But not on Wednesday. Everyone's got to be at their house on Wednesday. That's cool. Works out better. But the rules lot people get to a point where they want no rules, but you do need some agreed upon rules to play a game. Or it's not a game. It's narrative make-believe. A big circle jerk. I tried to get into some of them RP groups, fantasy RP groups on, what was that? I forgot what it was called. There was fancy RPG groups on there where you could just free-form narrative RP. Everybody was a god, though, man. Everybody's power, you know. So you need rules of the there's no losers. It's like when you have hero versus hero in the comic books, you already know who's going to win and who's going to lose based on whose comic book chain it is. So depending on whose story it is, you know who's going to win. If they're narrating the story, they're the winner. And you're all just NPCs. I like that somewhere in the middle. Not a whole lot of rules. And the rules you need to make, you can draw from your experience as a dungeon master that suits your table. Or I've been talking to the players a lot lately. So let's talk this out. And just having votes. And some of the votes have bitten them in the butt. And I'm like, I warned you. when the DM says the most dangerous thing at this table is that fumble rule, you need to pay attention. Oh no, 3 dead characters later, maybe this fumble rule's a little much. Told you so. But you voted for it, we're sticking with it to the end now. I think I'll talk a little bit more Dragon Slayer since that's all I'm running now. But OSR musings are general, have turned into a critique of the hobby and people. And let's be honest, most of our hobby problems are people problems. Most of your game table problems are people problems. I think we do this to have fun, but we like a little bitterness to our fun where it's hard. If it's not hard, it's not worth doing sometimes, right? That's why us older folks, old school, or those who are long in the tooth in the gaming hobby, we prefer our games a bit more lethal. Because without that lethality, there's no risk. There's no risk, there's no true reward even playing. I was worried the Dragon Slayer tilted too hard towards the players. I got one game, it's like on its 13th or 14th session, and a player or two has died every session. So that save versus death I was worried about, I really shouldn't have been worried about at all. Doesn't seem to matter. The bodies are stacking up. And their ADHD has come under a slight bit of control now that they have tasted the big grand adventure. So my other guys, my other table, into the Dark Citadel, and we're going to have a session. Everybody's biting the tooth to just make their characters. We're going to make all our characters at the same time, kind of like in the old days. And we're going to talk about some of the rules as we go along. First of all, like, where do you guys want to adventure? What do you want? You want me to ride everything up? You want me to wing it? You guys want a hex crawl? You want to do one of my favorite treasures, the Mega Dungeon? I've already got one player screaming for high fill. So I'll be running 2 separate high fill games. Possibly. Or revisit all the old TSR stuff. I could string those together to do a Giants. Giants seems to be the flavor of the month with a lot of people on the fringe at the moment, which I'm cool with because I've always wanted to run all the Roll for Initiative Giants modules, and there was some low-level ones that I could really tweak out to be like foreshadowing. No problem at all. No problem at all. Or do a Slavers leading into the Giants, where you're summoned because you're such a badass. But the Slavers is one that takes a little bit more prep because that's a whole region of Greyhawk that it's rough. And if you're going to run Slavers, you got to put them yellow cells in the Greyhawk. I'm surprised they never really dipped into the Scarlet Brotherhood as much as they could have. Because realize Slavers was completely separate from the monastery. You're stand-in fascist types for Greyhawk. And then there's always Stonehound. This group has probably, the folks in this group have actually gotten the farthest of anyone I've ever ran in. Stonehill. They may not return just because they're tired of it, even though they've barely scratched the surface. Dragon Slayer rules, I think, would drive them further down quicker, and they'd be better able to fight with more of an AD&D light game than they would a full BX retro clone, to be honest. Oh yeah, definitely. Those AD&D spells versus BX spells. Huge improvement in my opinion. Although here's a dirty secret about Dragon Slayer that people haven't realized yet. Reread every spell because the durations have been taken out from the rug underneath the magic user. So you're not getting the BX duration spells with AD&D power that you got with Labyrinth Lord. Okay? So, rounds on the whole person and 5 rounds per level, which actually that's a hat tip to 3E, to be honest. 5 rounds per level for sleep, which gets a saving throw. That is a huge one. I should talk about spells and spell evolutions, comparing a BX to AD&D to Dragon Slayer spell. I really should do that. There were 3 books in my lap. That might be. Yeah, I might do that. We'll go over the spell sleep and options for spell components, because I have theories on all this, and this is completely a rambling thing this morning now. Anyway, that's my general mindset this morning. I'm just going to publish it. I'm not going to advertise it, and I'm going to talk about sleep. All right, later.